In sports, the scoreboard doesn't tell the full story, but Netflix does. Stories about dads who happen to be world-class quarterbacks and a battle for the heart, soul, and direction of the multi-billion-dollar business of F1. Whether you're a diehard fan or you're brand new, Netflix has the stories for every type of fan. You can watch these incredible sports stories like Quarterback, F1 Drive to Survive, Untold, and many more now on Netflix.
Welcome to the Scarlets Supporters Pembrokeshire podcast. Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Scarlets Supporters Pembrokeshire Westerer is Bester podcast with me, Lee G, and Big M from up by Llanelli Way with the big boys. How are we, Matt?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. How are you?
Yes, I'm still here. We won't discuss my dog's events from this morning. My dogs are literally in the doghouse and are being very quiet and hiding because they've been naughty. So let's hope they keep quiet for the duration of the podcast, and everyone will be happy, and they might actually be allowed out of the doghouse again. But yeah, that's just the way my dogs are. So before we kick off this week, we obviously over the weekend, so we're not going to touch too much on. We'll do a little bit on the Wales game later, but we're not going to touch too much on it. But while the Wales game was on, news kind of started breaking about Doddy Weir, and his passing. So I just thought we'd do a little bit about, I think pretty much everyone is kind of affected or touched by it in some way. So what's your memories of Doddy Weir, mate?
I don't have many memories of him, watching him play or nothing. I didn't really get into rugby properly till the late 90s, early 2000s, and I was only locally. But from what I've seen over the past few years, everything he's doing with motor neuron disease, it is incredible, especially being someone who is suffering with the disease themselves, to just bring something like that to the forefront, get it in people's eyes, and the support he's managed to generate, in just a short space of time is absolutely amazing. And it is a big loss. There's no two ways about it. It's just hopefully now that, with him being gone, that the work still carries on and it is still at the forefront.
I think that's you almost got to separate the player and then the man after, but then the two are connected, because a lot of what I'm seeing now is the friends that he made during the game, when he was playing, people who played with him, Scotland, Lions, various teams he played for, are all kind of pledging to maintain the work, to keep his memory alive, to keep the foundation going. And from what I understand, that's he knew that there was no cure. He was told there was no cure, and he said, "Well, that's not going to stop me fighting it," and that's where the foundation was set up. And I've known a couple of people locally that have had it, and it is suffering with it. It is an awful thing to suffer with. But yeah, the inspiration that you get from someone like that, and the enthusiasm to go and do something, knowing what was coming, but he still went out and kind of did something. So fingers crossed it can keep going. And I hope we get a couple of, I can see Barbarians getting involved and things like that, and playing lots of charity matches, like a Doddy Weir fundraising kind of a match and things like that. And I just think it'll be a good memory for him, and hopefully at some point a cure will be found. So yeah, fingers crossed on that. And kind of put the weekend's Welsh performance certainly into context. It kind of stopped quite a few people on Twitter from going on their weekly rant, which it has become a weekly rant now. But so
anyway, that's over now, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. And I say we'll touch on the Welsh game a little bit after we've dissected the Scarlets performance, but yeah, we're not going to dwell on it too much, because by the time this comes out, we just don't know what will come of it and what have you. So we'll just leave that for people
The
that
powers
make.
that be.
Yeah, well, again, that is something that we will talk about. Is the WI? Let's talk about Scarlets before I go off on something completely different. Let's just talk about Scarlets. What did you think of the game on Friday, mate? Stormers away.
I loved about 90% of that game. It was probably one of the best games I've watched for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously you can see where some of the skills were lacking from both sides, but as a one-off match, if you had someone who'd never seen rugby before turn on and watch, you'd be glad that was the game they saw. It was brilliant in all aspects.
I thought, so it was definitely more encouraging than it has been over the last kind of couple of games. Certainly, was it the Connaught game that was the last game before that?
Leinster.
Leinster, yeah, I put that one out of my memory. I put that one out of the head. I think.
Yeah, for good reason too.
Yeah, but I think the thing for me was we looked like in the Irish games, we looked like we'd lost the desire to attack. Do you know what I mean? We just not really got that idea, and people were saying, "Oh, Scarlets have forgotten how to attack and they can't defend." All of this kind of stuff, and it felt like that attacking idea was back. You know, I thought Shingler was like a man possessed in the loose. Any bit of broken play, you know, and he was doing all the little Fafita handoffs and all of this kind of stuff. It was like having and Fafita back on the pitch. So when I think Fafita's back this week, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm not sure why he wasn't available for this game. I think it might have been something to do with the internationals.
Yeah,
but
I think
again, I'm not 100% sure about that.
Yeah, so you know, it was good to see people like Dan Davis back. I thought Dan had quite a decent game for. I think he's been out 18 months and just not played a game for 18 months. You know, it's a long old period to be out.
Yeah, he's one player that he is very much like Josh McLeod over the last couple of years. He struggled to get a run of games together. It's when Dan Davis first came in, I think he started like 4 or 5 games on the bounce, and he was absolutely outstanding. You know, he was jackling for fun. And since then, it's been a bit of a struggle for him to really, you know, follow that up and get some more games in.
Well, hopefully, you know, if he maintains the kind of form that he's got now, and then you've got McLeod coming back in, you know, I thought Blade Thompson, when he came on at blindside, did he come on blindside or did he come on? I think he came on for Shingler. I thought he was outstanding as well. You know, there was a lot of encouraging performances, particularly in attack. Defense, maybe not so.
No, I mean, I've gone through it. I broke down, you know, all the 5 tries that we conceded, and you know that, you know, when you concede 5 tries, it's obviously it's not the best defensive performance, but they really are, you know, little things that, you know, they should be easily fixable. I mean, if we look at the first try, that, you know, there's a couple of reasons why it shouldn't have been a try to start with. I mean, that ruck just before Yanches goes over, you know, Dave he'd won that ball cleanly, and you know the ref should have pinged for it. And you know, the ref obviously thought that he was a tackling, didn't release, but you know he wasn't involved. So you know that's one of them things that just you just get the you know, didn't get the rub of the green on that. And then, you know, for Yantias to, you know, lose the ball in the act of scoring, and you know
and it wasn't even reviewed.
It wasn't even reviewed. But what annoyed me a little bit was that you know, the Tom Price was there on the line to tackle him, and it seemed very, you know, it was a bit of a half attempt to tackle.
Kind of way he was
going
quite
high.
out, wasn't he? Yeah, he got caught in two minds. He was going out, and then he came back in, and then he was too high, and he kind of went underneath, but he still dislodged that ball. It was a little nudge, it was a little knock, and you can see as he's going down, the ball separates, and then his hand goes back to the ball, and I'm not 100% certain that it was connected when it hit the floor either. I think it's just one of those things when you look at it as a referee, you go like, oh yeah, that's your first instinct is that's fine, that's a try, because there was nobody in front of him when he went over, sort of thing. But
yeah.
But
I don't know what game it was. No, I think it was the Cardiff game. But we saw a try and the conversion be kicked, and the ref still called it back and cancelled it out. So
yeah,
why couldn't that have been done there?
And I think that's a good call, because
it's a good precedent to set.
Yeah, because you get this thing about players think if the conversion's taken, then you can't get called back. And like I say, in the Cardiff game, the conversion was taken. They were lining up for the kickoff, and then the TMO went, actually, come and have a look at this. So yeah, it's a shame it doesn't happen more. But like I said, that tackling around the outside of we shouldn't have given them I think the issue is we gave them the ball. We were attacking on the halfway line, and we lost the ball, and then we gave away a penalty, and then it was a kick, and then it was another kick, and do you know what I mean? We were in control of that, and when we were in control of the game, we were doing well. But that first try, we gave them the ball, and we gave them an easy in. And these are big boys. Some of the size of some
you're not stopping them easily. You've got to either have a lot of muscle and strength behind you, or you've got to have pitch perfect technique. Which, to be fair, as professionals, the technique should be pretty near the top end of the draw all the time.
So, what about the other tries then? What did you pick up on the other tries?
Well, the second try, I don't like saying it because I love the guy. I think he's been a great stalwart for us. But Scott Williams calls for the ball from a line out.
Right, and that's it. God, no, we're not having that, Mark. We're not criticising Scott Williams, right?
No, it's unfortunate. It's a little bit underthrown. And then, Scott, he misreads the flight of the ball, and, he tried. Ball went to Dan Duplessis. He's a big man. There was a couple of missed tackles, Dinky and Combier, unfortunately. But, he's a big man. It's broken play, and, the try was inevitable at that point.
And I think let's say, when you look at us in attack, there are a couple of issues that we look at with our attack, but there's small bits to kind of work on. It's that defence that just does seem to let us down quite a bit. But don't get me wrong, it was better last Friday than it has been for a long time. But we still shipped, 5 tries? I think we shipped.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure it's been that good in that game, to be honest, because we missed a lot of tackles. I'll check my book, but I think that was the most tackles we've missed in any game this season.
I think the difference was that we were in place to make those tackles, whereas in previous games there was just nobody there the people were running at space. You with me?
Yeah.
And I think for me, the structure of that defence was better than what it had been before.
Yeah, well, I've got it by we had 27 missed tackles, which is the most that we've missed all season. But in a lot of those cases, we were there to recover. So it does go both ways. The first line was a little bit lacking, but getting back around, getting back into shape, we had improved, because we all know how good the Stormers are.
Yeah.
Even if the commentator was, really disrespectful, calling it their third team.
Yeah, it wasn't
their
third team.
That really bugged me and knocked me off, because I've gone through their team sheets, and they say, oh, all the South African boys were in there. those South African boys have only had 1 or 2 appearances all season. This is
Yeah.
the seventh. This is the seventh game for them, and you're saying it's a third team. It is total utter bullshit.
Yeah, I agree with you, mate. It wasn't a third team at all, and at national level or the USC level, you have to rotate your players. You have to you can't rely on. We're not going to be able to rely on Callum Mahoney for every game this season. As much as we think we can, we can't. So, players drift in, players drift out. Some players do 4 weeks, some players will do more. So, yeah, they rotate, but I think the size of their squad and the size of their players within that squad was a massive difference between them and us. Do you know what I mean? You look at the size of their front row, you could fit 2 of our front row into there. They're massive.
They are animals. They are just the natural phenomenons. They just so huge naturally. I just don't understand how they can grow them like that.
Yeah, and I thought that they're fit, they're big, they're fit, they're strong. Do you know what I mean? There's no weak side to their game. Whereas our props are quite dynamic. They run the park. They're really fit. They're quite powerful. I wouldn't say strong. They're more powerful than strong.
Yeah. While we're on the subject of our props, their skills are absolutely brilliant. There are a couple of missed tackles, like we've already alluded to, from our props against the Stormers, but their handling skills during this game were brilliant. I mean, some of the passes, Stefan Thomas and Harry O'Connor put in, they were the outside halves. They were really, really high level stuff.
And then you look at that, and then you look at Jonathan Davis and Scott Williams putting passes straight into touch. And you think, and in fact, there was a couple of instances there where passes are being thrown, and I don't know whether they're going into space and the pass is bad, or the players are there and they're thinking leave it. And there were like 4 or 5 instances in that game where that ball just went to ground. And that's aside from the try scoring opportunities that we had.
We left so much on our field. It was unreal.
Yeah, but I think that's the encouraging thing that we didn't see that against Leinster and Connacht. Those games we were pretty flat. At least we were trying to do something. Those passes should have gone to hand. They went to floor, sort of a thing, and the attack broke down. But we were trying to do something, and we weren't doing that before. So that's why I think it's an encouraging game that we went out. It's very easy to go out against a side that's top of the division, top of the league, and go, we're just going to defend for 80 minutes and hope that they don't put 60 odd points on us. It's very easy to do that. And we didn't do that. We went out and we attacked from the off. We should have put a couple of kicks over to start with. So Johnny McNichol.
The slap, is it?
Yeah, well, yeah. He had a very up and down game. There were some bits that you thought, great, fantastic, this is amazing, and then he goes and does that.
Yeah, he has turned into a hot and cold sort of player. And we know how good McNichol can be when he's on fire, and he is unplayable, and to the level where I think he would probably get one of the 3/4 spots with Wales if he's hitting form and playing as good as he can. It is just looking, and there's some brain farts going on in there, and you're like, where did that come from? Like that slap over. I mean, he could have taken that ball, he could have run a couple of meters, he could have stepped back in to catch the defense and then let the pass go. There was a couple of options he had there other than do that.
Yeah. And I think that's if Johan Nicholas is on the pitch, would he have been in that position to make that kind of, or would he have done something different? Do you know what I mean? It's hard to say if if it would have been different with somebody else on the pitch. But
well, I think it's safe to say it would have been different with someone else, but it might have ended up with the same result.
yeah, well, I it's weird to come out of a game where you look at the scoreboard and it looks a little bit of a pasting. I think the disappointing thing from that game is we didn't get a losing bonus point. We
could have had two easily.
Yeah, and we were attacking. There were two tries that we should have had in the first half. There was one in the second that we were pounding the line, and then we turned the ball over, and you're just like, for all the attacking flair and excitement we had in that first half, to then kind of stuff it up like that was more disappointing that we didn't try something different,
Yeah,
but
I think that's down to game management though, and some of the players that we had on at the end of the match, they weren't quite as experienced as as some of our frontline boys are. As good as Patchell and Steph Evans are, they're not game management players.
So, what's your take then on Patch and Dinky? How did you? I thought Patch played really well I thought he was fantastic when he came on, and I'm not sure that Dinky really did.
No, I'd say Dinky had a below average game. I mean, he is a great player. He is an absolute professional. And one of the things that I've always liked about him is that he's always been solid in defence, but he dropped off quite a few tackles, and I don't know what the reason is. Could it be the 3-week break? Could it just be a lack of confidence thing? So there's lots of reasons. There could be lots of reasons behind it that we don't know about, but he definitely didn't have the best of games. And if Costello hasn't been shipped out to South Africa this week, I'm expecting Patchell to start.
So we're in that kind of time of year where contracts are discussed and this that. We've seen that already with Josh Helps, retiring, and Wainwright coming in, sort of thing. We've seen today the Will Rowlands. Have you seen that with the Dragons? Will Rowlands looks like he's leaving the Dragons, going to Bath.
Is he really?
Yeah.
I haven't seen nothing on that.
Yeah, that's the rumour for next year. He'll play the World Cup and then he's off to Bath. So, and he's nowhere near 60 caps. So,
well, no, you've got to think of his age. He's not going to be one for the neck for 2027. So, he's come over. He's played. He's done well for Wales. He's not my type of player. He's not someone that I particularly have any affinity for. But he has done his job. He's earned his money, and if he wants to go back over to England, then it's just gutting that as a Wasps he came from, that they know they had to take him back.
Well, my point kind of was, Patch is on a 1-year contract. Dinky's contract is up at the end of this year. How would you keep the pair of them? Would you? I think we got boys coming through from academy.
Definitely. I definitely wouldn't think about renewing Patchell, as as good as he has been. He did to our Pro 12 title, and he is a great player. But I think Costello is on par, at least, if not a little bit better all around. And they are very similar players. So you really need that balance in your squad. You want your attacking fly half, you want your kicking fly half, etc., etc. And I just think having Patchell and Costello, two players who are not gonna be cheap to keep them both together, is you're better sticking off with your younger boy. So that's why I wouldn't be renewing Patchell. Dinky's another question. It really comes down to who's available when talk about him. Is maybe a little bit younger, maybe has got a little bit more to the game. It really is that sort of question. who's available, are they not significantly better, but are they a similar to better option? Because then you're talking about if they are a better option, are there chances they could be called up with Wales? Because we know Dinky probably never will. We know he's going to be here all season long. So it is one of them recruitment questions that we don't get to see. We don't get to know the inner workings. So that'd be an interesting call from my perspective. How about you?
Well, I'd go the other way around. I'd keep Patchell and I would release Dinky, just because I think Patchell does fit into the way we play the game more. I say Dinky's a different type of player, and as good as he's been, I class him as like a solid backup. If Dinky's playing, that there's your first two are injured or away with Wales or whatever. And I would keep Patchell for another season, another 1 year. I just put him on a 1 year rolling contract. Same as Scott Williams. I think Scott Williams on a 1 year rolling, isn't he? And I think that's the way we got to manage players now. We just go, look, you're coming to the end of your career. Yeah, well, I think one more decent injury for Patchell, for Scott Williams, or even Jonathan Davis, and that's career ending for them, because they're just at that age where you just, 12 months out of the game when you're mid to late 30s is, that's it, So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see Dinky go and some of the academy boys coming through. I think we'll see more of that in the coming seasons. And then Patch put on a rolling contract, because when he's on fire, like we saw in that second half, he's outstanding. It is that, how often can you have him on the pitch? How delicate is he at the minute? We don't know what his fitness is like at the minute. So that would be my call. But I think this is the time of year when we're going to find it out, because things tend to get done before Christmas. And then after Christmas, it's about who can you bring in and things like that, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's a much tougher situation this year with the rumours I've heard that WRU are really sitting on their hands till after Christmas to finalise any deal with the regions. So I don't know if we are going to see that sort of thing happening.
Well, let's move on to WRU and things like that. So a little bit of club news. We saw on Twitter last night. So head of Loughborough rugby, is it Scott? No, Snedden. Yeah. So head of Loughborough Uni, which is one of the top Bucks uni teams. So he's coming over to head up the senior academy, taking the position that I believe it must be from
Emma Phillips.
Emma Phillips, yeah. So Emma was kind of that transition coach from academy to senior, and he's gone up to senior to be skills coach. And then, we brought in a couple of other skills coaches within junior and senior academy, and now it looks like the academy is pretty much sorted now with Scott coming in. But said he's coming, with immediate effect, which is a strange one for, Bucks League is still ongoing. There's still, I think they've got a game this evening, so to come over with immediate effect is an interesting kind of call as to why he's doing that. So I'm just looking. So tomorrow night, Loughborough playing Cardiff Met. So and just on a different one in the Bucks League tomorrow as well, Swansea University, Cardiff University. That would be an almighty kind of a bun fight. That's one to look forward to.
Here's the question: why isn't it televised?
Well, it kind of is. It's
It's
on,
online.
yeah, it's on YouTube on Bucks TV. I watched the Cardiff Met game last week, and it absolutely honked it down. I mean, you could not hear the commentators for the hail on the top of the thing. It was quite funny. You could see players on the pitch. There was like a break in play, and it was hailing. You could just see these guys standing there, kind of trying to look hard, and yeah, this is fine. This is just what I do. And then like a scrawny little winger behind, going like, "Oh my God, this is ridiculous." Like, yeah, but but yeah, so he's come over to run the academy, which I think it's a really, really good call, and will bring, a lot of sports science experience and a lot of that Bucks rugby is really the stepping stone now in between college and URC type rugby. So I think that's a really good appointment for us, definitely.
Yeah, I think it's been in the works for a while since Emir has taken that step up. I think this immediate effect has been, him saying, I can't really come, I can't leave, Loughborough in the lurch. And I think maybe it's taken this long for them to arrange their replacement. So
Right,
maybe
I'm with you.
maybe we would have liked him for the start of the season. I
Mm,
think Emir must have been doubling up on some
mm,
sessions, and now everything is sort of set in stone. It's
mm.
if you're within contract and you want someone, you kind of at the mercy of the current employer, aren't you?
Yeah, yeah. Which kind of brings us back to squad selections, contracts, and the WRU. And what's your frustration with the WRU at the minute on funding and contracts and all of this kind of stuff?
I don't understand how they can possibly think they can have a successful national team when they can't even agree a funding arrangement for the professional teams that pay these players.
Mm,
And something that's knocking me off is obviously after this autumn series, there and the cancellation of the French World Cup trip for
yeah,
Wayne Pivac and co. Is the talks that he's going to be removed and some of the coaching staff are going to go with him. And I'm just there, and I've tried to find out their actual wages. I haven't found specifics, but I've had the rough regions. And to replace those who are rumored to be going, it's going to cost about 1.5 to 2 million
mm,
just to buy them out of their contracts. And you're standing there and you're going, that is the exact same amount that the regions are asking for,
yeah,
extra in the PRB whatever agreement there is,
mm-hmm.
and you were delaying it for months and months and months. I don't know whether they're trying to see one of the regions go bust or what. And then they're thinking, you know what, we're not happy with something here. We got a couple million to spend. Let's go and do it.
Mm.
I mean, how can you justify that sort of hypocrisy?
I I'm in that bit where I'm a little bit confused about, who's doing what, why are they doing it, and what's the motivation behind it. From a club's point of view, from the region's point of view, I think regions have been quite open, quite honest. Here's the motivation: we want X amount of money because we want to recruit. We want to keep these players, and we want to bring other players in. We want to be able to compete at that top level of European rugby. When you look at Leinster's got a 45-man squad.
And
That's,
then you look at the A squad beneath them.
yeah, and that's a huge pool of players to keep going with, to maintain, and they're all playing high-level rugby week in, week out. And then, we're talking about, uh, do we need four centres? Can we get away with three centres? Do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous to suggest that you can run a professional rugby team this way. And I think it's going to be absolute carnage for the rest of this season. I really do. I think this season's going to be absolute nightmare, regardless of what happens at Wales level, at national level, and who comes in and all of that. Until the WRU, there needs to be a massive, massive shake-up inside the WRU to refocus energies and attentions and go, right, this is where we are, this is where we want to be, and the way we get from where we are to where we want to be is this. Yeah. And there just doesn't seem to be any kind of leadership, any kind of direction. I think their public relations is an absolute nightmare because nobody's explaining anything. And when you don't explain to people, this is the problem, this is where the stalemate is between the clubs, this is when we're meeting next, and this is what we're going to discuss. When you don't explain that, people fill in the blanks, And I think that's what's happening.
That's one of the things that came out about the the independent chair. A lot of the clubs came out and said that they had like a 5-minute online PowerPoint and weren't able to ask any questions, and that was the end of it. But I mean, I'm always going to be hopeful that something will change, or someone will just do the one thing and everyone will get behind it. I mean, we've had the news yesterday that Ian Evans is now the new WRU chairman officially. I think he's been acting in an interim role since Rob Butcher left. So I'm a little bit hopeful that maybe some sort of change can come from that. Whether or not it does is obviously a different question. But I'm always hopeful that one day we'll get it right. Hopefully sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and I think that's the issue is like we're seeing with Will Rowlands, and I think we'll see it with other players. I think there'll be a raft of announcements over the Christmas period of so-and-so's leaving, so-and-so's retiring, so-and-so's off to join Ealing Trailfinders, seems to be the club of choice at the minute. I think Welsh Rugby is going to lose a lot of players over the coming 12 months. And we're almost going to be, I think they're going to have to get rid of the 60 cap rule for the World Cup and then reinstate it after. And then
I've never liked that 60 cap rule.
I can see the point because
I get the point of it entirely. I just don't like the fact that you denying the players the right to earn more money elsewhere. It's like the government coming in and saying, look, you're only allowed to earn this much, otherwise you can't do this. It's like, oh, you can't shop in your budget supermarket if you go off somewhere else. It's something stupid.
I think it works in the sense that it encourages players to come home at the early part of their career. And then, I don't think anybody's got an issue with Dan Bigger kind of making the most of it and go in to England. I think they need to differentiate between, if you were playing in the URC, that's different to playing in the French Pro 14. Do you know what I mean? It's and yeah, I think you've got to, you can see players, you can monitor them. I think when players leave, they know that they wouldn't be available for the out of season, the out of window games. But if you're seeing them weekly and you're in that kind of context and they are available to come training, then that shouldn't be that much of an issue. It's when you start getting into that club versus country thing. I can see Welsh players being pulled early for World Cup, World Cup preparations for the warm-up games and things like that. And they won't be able to call on players from England and what have you. So I see that being an issue. But yeah, I think something's got to change. Something's got to change somewhere. And for me, it's about leadership, because we're not, we can't completely dismiss the community clubs because they're part of the system that produces international players. But at the same time, those international, the community clubs cannot be controlling what happens at the level that doesn't affect them. And the sooner we wake up, we have somebody stand up and go, right, okay, this is what's going to happen. This is how we're going to do it. Bang, let's make that change. And it just needs to happen until we get some decent leadership inside the WRU, people who can communicate with fans and with clubs and with regions. I just think we're going to keep going around in circles. I really do. So
yeah, I don't understand why there's no meetings throughout the season between Welsh management and the four regions management. Why aren't everyone pooling together? This is the way we want to play. These are the sort of skills we want to integrate. Why are they not having these discussions? Because we're seeing four regions play four completely different ways, and that's not gonna benefit the national side. You see in Ireland where there's some variations, but they all play very similarly.
So that's going to be taken out of our. That's probably a conversation for next week anyway, with everything that's going on. And I just think the rest of the season is just going to be an absolute nightmare. So we'll leave that to people that can do what they do. So let's go back to Scarlets stuff, and let's talk about the Lions game on Sunday. I think it is Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday game. Nice long break between the Stormers and this one, 9 days.
Yeah, and then but we come out of that, come back home, and we go into a really short one before European Cup, don't we?
So straight into the Euros.
Yeah, but I think isn't it? Aren't we playing on Friday night?
I think I'm not sure.
Anyway, we'll do that next week. What are you expecting from the Lions game?
First and foremost, I'm expecting a win. Off the back of that Stormers game and watching the Lions against the Dragons, I am expecting a win. The Lions are vastly improved this season, and I'm not giving any disrespect to them, but watching the two matches, so long as we do our bits in training, we give that extra bit of focus on, tackling, not being blown over by a gentle breeze sort of thing. There's no reason why we can't come away with the win and the way we're attacking 5 points if we translate.
Yeah, I certainly thought that the Lions were not as strong defensively as the Stormers. And I think if we can attack the right areas, control the key areas, if we get our set pieces right and we can move the ball away from structured set piece, I think we've got that game. I mean, the bit that impressed me on the Stormers game was when we kick chase properly, we got that absolutely bang on. And when we didn't kick chase properly, we were shocking and we let them run back way too easy. If we can control those key bits that we control, so the when we're box kicking, let's kick it properly in a way that we can retrieve the ball. When we're kicking to corners, let's put it in a place where we can actually put pressure on them. If we do that against the Lions, I think they will struggle to exit from pressure. And if we put them under pressure, they will make life easy for us and almost gift us opportunities to score, because we definitely have the ability to score. I think a lot of it revolves around Scott Williams for all of his mistake at the back of the line out. I do think he's the key at the minute. That inside centre position is vital, and I don't see somebody coming behind. When Jonathan Davis plays there, it's just not the same game. The distribution just isn't there. So I think Scott Williams is really key to what we do. So if he's playing with Patchell, I reckon, we're going to put them under a lot of pressure. We're going to strangle them basically for the first 20-25 minutes and then cut loose. So I'm hoping for a big win. That's what I'm hoping for.
I mean, there is the awkward aspect of playing at altitude. Johannesburg is 1,700, 1,800 meters above sea level. So that is something that needs to be taken into account. And I'm hoping that, we select our 23 based on that. I would like to see, some of the younger players start, just because they've got that extra bit of fitness in them, that extra bit of life in their legs, as compared to, your Jonathan Davis, your Gareth Davis, who are, back ends of career. So I am hoping that maybe we see the likes of Carwyn Tuapolotu, Archie Hughes, and maybe even Corey Baldwin just to start the game, just so they've got the air in their lungs. They can have that 40 to 50 minutes of getting that control of the game, and then we can bring on, your Gareth Davis, your Callum Mahoney, your Jonathan Davis, and have them really have 30 minutes in those conditions to do whatever they want, not have to sort of think, oh, I can't sprint here because I'm not going to last the full game.
Yeah, just go for it. So are we both predicting big wins for Scarlets then?
I'm not going to say a big win. I'm going to say a win. Hopefully, it's more comfortable than not comfortable. But yeah, I mean, if Patchell is starting, he's got his kicking boots on. I reckon we're going to see a few 60, maybe 65-meter penalties coming on away.
I'm going to go for a bonus point win. I think definitely we're going to put 4 tries on the board one way or another. So I can see a bonus point win coming from that game. And next week's pod will be a nice, easy affair, mate, where we can just talk about how everything went well and how we can kick on into the Europeans. Hopefully that's how we're going to do it.
Next week and the week after, we should have should be a special edition, I believe, a special European edition, where we talk about some foreign rugby,
Yeah. Well, let's bring it right back to home then. And let's have a look at local clubs or community clubs, starting with the Championship. So Narberth at home to Cross Keys on Saturday. What's your take on that one?
Oh well, they're gonna be still reeling from that loss to Talavera. Especially after they could have won it in the dying moments. So, this is a pretty big game. Cross Keys, they are one of those top 4 teams, Neath, Bargoed, Pontypool, then is sort of, Cross Keys and they've really been at the races so much this year. So it is a big game for Narberth in the context of this season, whether or not they're going to be fighting for that 3rd spot, or if it is going to be, probably similar to last year, maybe push on for 4th. Cross Keys have had some good results. Pretty recently they put 50 points on Bedwas at home, and they seem to be. They lost Bargoed away, which is there's no shame in that. Bargoed are a good side, but they seem to be scoring a fair few points when the playing field's a bit more level, which is what I'm seeing this weekend. So I'm always going to back Narberth for the win. There's no way I'm ever going to go against them, but it is going to be a tight one and probably a high scoring affair.
Okay, I'm going the other way. I'm going to say it's going to be really, really low scoring. They're going to cancel each other out, and we're going, penalties will kind of resolve the game. I don't think it's going to be. I think a lot of it depends on the weather as well, on what it's going to be like. So, yeah, I'm going kind of 12-9 to Narberth at best is what I'm going. Adventurous.
Good man, good choice.
So, okay, dropping down then into League One West. So Aberystwyth at home to Llangennech. That's a hell of a game. That's a good game to watch. That is. Who you backing there?
For me, I mean, Aber are going to be really, really disappointed that they lost to Dunvant last week. They had a chance to start a bit of a cup run, and they're going to be really, really upset at losing that game, because I think they really had it in them to do it. And Llangennech, they haven't played in a while now. I think we're going back to the first week of the month when they last played.
Mm-hmm.
Or it might have even been that. I think it might have been October. Yeah. No. The first week they played, because the game against Crymych was postponed because of their president passing away. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go for an Aberystwyth win just because I like being optimistic. And Llangennech haven't played in a while. Aber have got a bit of a chip on their shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
And anyone traveling to Aberystwyth, it's not a nice journey when
No.
you know what you're coming up against.
Yeah. I'm going an Aberystwyth win, and I think in the end it's going to be quite comfortable. It's going to be a 20-10, something like that. I think it's it's just one of. I think Llangennech just going to be a little bit rusty. Aberystwyth are just up for it. So yeah, 20-10 for me. Crymych and Hendy.
Yeah, I'm going to go for a Crymych win. They've had a really, really strong season. They've punched above their weight, certainly from what I expected. And, they haven't played for a while, the same as Llangennech. But I'm still very much expecting Crymych to come out on top in that one.
Yeah, me too. I can't see Hendy offering too much. Crymych pack at the minute is all singing or dancing. So, I think that's a comfortable win for Crymych. Pembroke away to go sign on. Now then,
this is a repeat of the cup game from last month, and go sign on run out comfortable 38-3 winners last time. So I've got to stick with them. There's no two ways about it. I'd love for Pembroke to show me up and get a good result, but it's just not looking good for them this year.
I'm gonna go for the shock of the season. I'm gonna go. This is going to be the one game this year that Pembroke win, and it'll be a bit of a shock. It'll be a bit of a, oh my God, what's going on there? And then it'll all come crumbling back down next week. But for me, I don't know why. I just get the feeling that this is the game that Pembroke are going to pull it out of the bag. So it's a Pembroke win, whether it was 1 point or 2 points or 20, who knows? But it'll be a little win for Pembroke. And then we've got Pencloud and Whitland. So again, Whitland struggling, but Pencloud also down there in the basement battling. So what's your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I mean, this really isn't the Whitland that we've known, and we say this almost every week. Where has Whitland gone wrong? What is happening? But I just, they've got to come good at some point. So against slightly weaker opposition than usual, I'm going to go for a Whitland win.
Yeah, me too. Same kind of reasons. I think it's something's got to pull out of the bag at some point, and they've shown glimpses of it. But yeah, I think it's a Whitland win this weekend. So cool. Right, dropping down then into League Two. Buryport at home to Tenby United. So
yeah, I've got a bit of mixed loyalties by you. I mean, my kids are in the age grade with Buryport, and but no, Buryport, they're a strong side. They've been underperforming for themselves. They are very disappointed with how this season has gone so far. I'm gonna back Tenby just because I'd like to see Tenby win, because this is the Pembrokeshire podcast.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where my loyalties lie. Pembrokeshire comes first. Tenby for the win.
I think Tenby had I was expecting them to perform better in the cup last weekend, in all honesty, but it didn't happen for them. So I think there'll be a bit of a response this week, and I'm going to put that down as a narrow Tenby win, 15-12 or something like that. So it'll be a narrow game, but I think Tenby are gonna take that one. And then we've got the local derby, Milford and Fishguard. Milford at home having a bit of an iffy season at best, and Fishguard are having an up and down season. So, that could go either way, really. So I'm going to call that as a Fishguard win, just because I think they've got a lot of their players back. But what's your call?
I want it to be different. I
All
really
right.
wanted to be different from you. I thought you were going to go for Milford being home. No, but you're right. They both have having ups and downs through this year. I mean, they both got similar form patterns. Win a couple, lose a couple. But no, I think Fishguard are pushing towards more of that top half of the table, so they are going to be that bit stronger and come through with a win.
Yeah, absolutely. So, League 3 then. So Haverfordwest at home against Llanybother. What's your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I mean it's not going to be an easy day for Haverfordwest, but I think they're strong enough to come through. They've put some wins together this year, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, they're very similar to Barryport in the fact that they came into this season thinking, it's going to be all nice smelling roses, but it hasn't quite gone their way. But they're still a force, so I'm expecting Haverfordwest to come up with a win.
Yeah, I think so too. I think being at home as well is playing in their favour. Yeah, I find that one a hard one to call, in all honesty, but I think Haverfordwest will probably just nick it. So Larne and Lampeter, I think that's quite an easy one to call, Larne and Lampeter. I'm calling that one for Larne. What's your thoughts?
I mean, Lampeter is still unbeaten, aren't they?
Are they?
I'm gonna double check now, but I'm pretty sure last time I checked they done unbeaten so far this season. So bear in mind this is a very slow computer for whatever reason today. Yeah, they're 5 from 5 with 5 bonus points.
So which way are you calling it then?
I mean, it is still a tough one because Larne barely lost to St. Clair's, and I think St. Clair's are the pace setters. So I think I'm gonna go for the home advantage. I think Larne are gonna inflict that first defeat on Lampeter. They're gonna be upset that they didn't get one over on St. Clair's a few weeks ago. So they're gonna bounce back and they're gonna hit Lampeter.
Yeah, I thought Larne were. I thought they were having a cracking season. I'll be honest, I didn't look at where Lampeter. I was just basing it on the fact that Larne are having a really good season. So yeah, I'm going to go for a Larne win as well. I just think that they're on a bit of a roll. So yeah, next game, a little bit more difficult to predict. Langham and Cardigan. Obviously, Langham, a bit of your favourite side. So, what's your thoughts on Langham and Cardigan, mate?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're both very, very similar in the fact that they've both only picked up the one win in the league. Cardigan are just above them thanks to a draw. I think it was with St. David's earlier in the season. But I do like Langham. I like seeing them when they win. So I'm gonna put my money with Langham.
Okie dokie. Yeah, I think I'd agree with you on that. I think say it's too close to call, so home advantage kind of comes into play with that one. So yeah, Neyland and St. David's. Now this would have been quite a difficult game to predict early part of the season, but Neyland seemed to have kicked on, and St. David's seemed to have had a little bit of a wobble over the last couple of matches. But what's your thoughts on Neyland and St. David's, mate?
Yeah, I'm exactly the same as you. I mean, it took a while for Neyland to start, but I think they've won the last 3 games they played, and they found a bit of form. I mean, the last result was it was against Tregaron, but it was a 65 to 5 points away win. That's not to be sniffed at, regardless of the opposition. So, I like St. David's too much. St. David's.
Cool. Okay, I'm gonna go for a low scoring draw on
A
that
draw.
one. I just think that game
Wow.
is gonna be too close to call on that one. I really do. And I can't call it either way. There's ups and downs, and every time I say this way, I go, well, yeah, but then so I'm arguing with myself, so I'm just gonna go draw and put it to bed. So Pembroke Quins at home to Tregaron. That should be a comfortable win for the Quins.
You'd hope so. You
Yeah.
really would hope so.
Yeah, especially having a couple of weeks of decent training and yeah, hopefully Beerspool can enjoy that one. And then last game of the week, then St Clair's at home to Aberaeron. That's going to be an interesting game. You know, St Clair's should run away with that quite comfortably, but Aberaeron quite difficult.
I don't know. I wouldn't say that's a run away. I mean, Aberaeron only just lost to Larne by 7 points. It was 31-24 when they played earlier in the season. So I think it's going to be a fair bit tighter than that. Aberaeron are going to know that they need to go to St Clair's. They need to do a job on them if they've got any hopes for winning this league. I mean, with the whole promotion relegation thing is still very much up in the air, not being confirmed. But if they want to be there, they want to be playing in the higher division, whether or not that's against the same teams. They're going to want to pull something out against St Clair's.
Yeah.
So I'm going to back. My mind is telling me no, but my heart is telling me back Aberaeron.
Okay, I'm going the other way. I just think St Clair's at home just too strong. I just think that they'll blow them away, and I think in the end it'll be a comfortable second half victory. I think that's where it'll be told, the second half. So yeah. And that's us done for the week, mate. It's good to be back to normal, to be honest. It feels like it's been ages since we've done a proper pod with Scarlets and with Pembrokeshire teams in there. It's been ages since we've done this. So, yeah, it's good to be back. It's good to be doing what we do
know.
best.
I have missed, trying to talk up some of the local teams. Like it's been a big miss. I never thought I'd miss it so much.
Well, I will get all of the fixtures up on our Facebook page and our Twitter feeds later in the week, and hopefully Saturday night. Oh no, I won't be able to do it Saturday night because I'm in Cardiff on Saturday night watching a play, because I'm a good husband and my wife wants to go and watch a play, so I'm being a good husband and I'm doing as I'm told. So Sunday,
a good husband would have taken it to the play on the Friday night or the Sunday.
Yeah, it's not on the Friday night. No, it's just and she works long hours on the Friday. So, yeah. So Saturday I won't be able to do it, but Sunday hopefully I'll have the scoreboard rundown out, and we shall meet up again and do this again next week. Who knows what Welsh rugby will look like after this weekend, mate? It's just going to be one of the
show.
Yeah, it's going to be a very different world when we meet again next week. So all the best, mate. Have a good weekend, and I shall catch up with you next week. Enjoy your rugby, mate. Cheers.
And you, Robert.
You have been listening to the Westerer is Besterer podcast from the Scarlet Supporters PEMS team. You can follow us on Twitter on Scarlet PEMS, find us on Facebook with Scarlet Supporters Pembrokeshire, or email us on scarletspems@gmail.com. And remember, West is best, but Westerer is Besterer. Cheers.
Sports Social Podcast Network.